Uncle Fred had always been a bit eccentric, but when he insisted that no one should ever open his old garage, his family couldn't help but wonder what he was hiding inside. It wasn't until years after his passing that curiosity got the better of them, and they decided to break the seal. As the creaky garage door rolled up, their eyes widened in shock at the unbelievable sight before them. What they found inside left them questioning everything they thought they knew about Uncle Fred. Uncle Fred was one of those uncles you always wanted to have over for dinner and parties. He always knew how to get the party started and how to keep the party going. It was clear that he loved life, but life didn't love him back as much. At the young age of 49, he was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and given only a few years to live. His life changed in an instant, but he did his best to hide his pain. His friends and family urged him to get treated, or at least get medication to extend his life's expectancy. But he refused. He didn't want to lose the best parts of him. In the months after his diagnosis, his friends and family barely saw him, as he was always doing something at home. All that his friends and family could do was show support. Fighting with him would do no good, and they knew that. One morning, Kylie decided she hadn't seen her uncle in way too long and dropped by his house before school. It was on her way anyway, so she wouldn't even have to tell her mother about it. She didn't know why, but her heart was beating in her chest as she walked up his driveway. What if he had already passed away and was lying somewhere in his house? The thought gave her chills, but it also pushed her to ring his doorbell. If that was the case, she couldn't bear the thought of her beloved uncle just lying there while no one knew about it. Luckily, as soon as she rang the doorbell, she heard sounds coming from his garage. She slowly walked over to the garage door and bent down to open it, but froze when she heard someone yelling at her. "Stop! Get away!" her uncle yelled as he ran up from behind her. "What are you doing here, Kyles? Aren't you supposed to be in school?" Kylie was happy to see her uncle, but was confused as to why she couldn't open the garage door. She opened her mouth to ask him, but he interrupted her. "Don't even ask about it," he said. "Just never go into the garage. None of you guys actually, so be sure to tell your parents and Uncle Jack as well." Kylie sheepishly closed her mouth again and shrugged her shoulders. She chatted with her uncle for a while until she was already late for school. When she realized what time it was, she hastily said goodbye, hugged her uncle, and ran the rest of the way. Little did she know that was the last time she ever got to hug her uncle. A few days later, Kylie's parents sat her down and told her about her uncle's passing. She was devastated, just like the rest of her family. They knew it was inevitable, but it was still very painful to lose someone you loved so much. They arranged his funeral and said their goodbyes, but there was something Kylie couldn't stop thinking about. She had told her parents about the mysterious garage the day she went to her uncle, and they hadn't spoken about it since. But now that her uncle had passed away, it kept popping up in her mind. At some point, the garage had to be opened up, and she sure wanted to be present for that moment. So, she decided to bring it up again. It was now a week after her uncle had passed away, and Kylie finally felt like it was the right time to bring up the garage. She didn't want to ask her parents about it sooner, as she felt it could be an emotional topic for them. Her mother did lose a brother, and she couldn't even imagine how that would feel. "Mom," she carefully began, "do you know what will happen to Uncle Fred's house?" She looked at her mother with kind eyes, hoping to make it easier for her to talk about. Her mother sighed. "Well, it's a little complicated. He left me and Uncle Jack the house, but we're just not sure what to do with it. It holds so many memories. We grew up in that house, you know?" Kylie nodded her head and hugged her mother. "I miss him," she whispered as a tear rolled over her cheek. Kylie's mother hugged her daughter tighter. "I miss him too." They sat there for a few minutes. Then her mother smiled at Kylie and wiped a tear away. That was the last time Kylie brought up her uncle's house, well, at least until a few years later. A few years later, when Kylie was about 17, she decided to bike past her late uncle's house. Memories flooded her mind as she walked up his driveway and peeked through the windows. But as she looked into his old living room, she realized nothing had changed. After 2 years, her mother and Uncle Jack hadn't even begun taking out all of his stuff. She confronted her mother about this, who was a little ashamed. Her cheeks turned red as she told her daughter she was right. They decided to get to work this upcoming weekend and arranged with Uncle Jack to be there too. That Saturday, they met up at Uncle Fred's house. Kylie immediately walked to the garage door, but her mother stopped her. "Wait," she said. "He told us not to." Kylie frowned. Was her mother serious? "What do you mean? The garage has to be emptied at some point, right?" But her mother held her ground, so they began cleaning out the living room. Only Kylie's mind kept thinking about the garage. She had to find a way to get inside without anyone noticing. The old garage door seemed to beckon Kylie. Its aged wood, paint peeling in places, hid secrets that called to her every time she set foot in Uncle Fred's driveway. The sun cast shadows on its surface, and she could almost make out shapes from within, a trick of light, or perhaps items collected over the years. Every small sound that emanated from it only intensified her need to know. Her fingers ached to lift the latch and push it open. Visits to Uncle Fred's house were filled with a lingering sense of mystery. Whispers about the sealed garage flowed through family gatherings, like an unsung lullaby from the past. While most of the family had managed to suppress their curiosity over time, Kylie felt hers burning more fervently. Each time she passed by, it felt like the garage was whispering, inviting her to unveil its secrets. During one of her visits, Kylie noticed a tiny crack along the side of the garage. Heart racing, she approached and tried to peek inside, eyes straining for any hint of what lay within. The view was obscured, but she could make out the silhouette of something tall and a faint glimmer of metal. The mystery deepened, pulling her in even more. Her mind raced with theories and imaginings of what Uncle Fred might have been hiding. On a breezy evening, as Kylie stood close to the garage, she felt as if she could hear faint echoes, sounds of hammering, a distant hum of a song perhaps once sung by Uncle Fred? Or were they just figments of her heightened imagination? She recalled the times when, as a child, she'd seen her uncle disappear into the garage, always emerging hours later with a distant, thoughtful look on his face. Despite the repeated warnings and the taboo nature of the garage, Kylie's attraction to it only grew. Like a moth to a flame, she felt an inescapable pull. Each creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the wind around its corners, heightened her need to explore its depths. But every attempt was met with resistance, either by her own family or some unseen force. The forbidden allure of the garage was undeniable. She had to find a way in. Uncle Fred's house wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was a reservoir of memories. Each room held whispers of laughter, arguments, and countless family gatherings. The old grandfather clock still chimed, its tones reverberating with moments from the past. Yet, amidst all this nostalgia, the garage remained a silent sentinel, its history concealed from all. Kylie would often catch her mother staring at it, a mix of longing and sadness in her eyes. Over dinner, Uncle Jack broached the topic of selling the house. The money, he suggested, could be donated to the local hospital or another charitable cause close to Uncle Fred's heart. The idea resonated with many. After all, it was a way to honor Fred's memory. But for Kylie, the house's sale would mean the permanent sealing of the garage's mystery, a chapter of her family's history she was desperate to unveil. While the family rallied behind the noble intent of selling the house, the garage's existence was like an elephant in the room. Nobody mentioned it directly, yet its presence was palpable in every discussion. Kylie felt as if an invisible barrier had been erected around it. Every time she brought up the topic, it was met with deflections or a swift change of subject, further fueling her curiosity. One afternoon, as Kylie once again attempted to approach the garage, her mother sharply called her back. "Why can't we just go in? Why is it so off-limits?" Kylie's voice echoed with frustration. Uncle Jack sighed, rubbing his temples. "It's complicated," he murmured, avoiding eye contact. Their avoidance was not lost on Kylie. The atmosphere grew thick with tension, unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. Late one night, Kylie overheard hushed conversations between her mother and Uncle Jack. Words like promise, Fred's wishes, and let it be drifted to her ears. It became evident that there was a silent commitment, a vow made to Uncle Fred that prevented them from revealing the garage's contents. Determined, Kylie decided that she would uncover the mystery herself, whatever it took. While venting her frustrations during a walk, Kylie bumped into Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who had been a neighbor to Uncle Fred for decades. With a warm smile and soft eyes, she invited Kylie for tea. Over sips of chamomile, Mrs. Henderson began recounting tales of a younger Fred, his vivacity and his ever-present zest for life. One particular story caught Kylie's attention. Mrs. Henderson reminisced about the many nights she'd noticed the lights on in Fred's garage, often lasting until the early hours. "He seemed to find solace there," she murmured, her voice trailing off. There were nights when soft music would emanate from within, other times the sounds of tools clinking, and occasionally the murmurs of heartfelt conversations. "It was his sanctuary," Mrs. Henderson whispered. "After his diagnosis, he spent more time there than anywhere else." The old lady's eyes gleamed with a mix of affection and sorrow. The word sanctuary resonated with Kylie. What could have been so important in that garage? A place where Uncle Fred sought refuge, especially when life turned turbulent, held secrets waiting to be unraveled. Among the many stories shared, Mrs. Henderson recalled nights filled with laughter coming from the garage. It was a deep, genuine sound that echoed with contentment. Even in his toughest times, he managed to find joy, she said with admiration. For Kylie, these tales painted a different picture of the garage. Not just a room of secrets, but one of cherished memories and hidden joys. The more Mrs. Henderson spoke, the clearer it became to Kylie that the garage wasn't merely a storage space. It was an integral part of Uncle Fred's life, holding pieces of a larger puzzle about the man he was. She thanked Mrs. Henderson for the tea and stories, her resolve strengthened. Kylie was determined to fit these pieces together and reveal the complete image of her beloved uncle. One evening, as Kylie lay in bed, she heard muffled voices from downstairs. It was her mother and Uncle Jack, speaking in hushed tones. Curiosity piqued. She tiptoed to the landing, straining to catch fragments of their conversation. Phrases like, "He never wanted anyone to know," "a place of healing for him," and "his last wishes," danced to her ears, further deepening the enigma of the garage. It became evident that her mother and Uncle Jack were bound by a promise made to Uncle Fred, a commitment forged from love, respect, and familial ties that seemed nearly unbreakable. Jack's voice wavered as he said, "We promised him, sis. We can't go against that." Her mother replied with a heavy sigh, "I know, but it's weighing on my heart." As days turned into weeks, the garage began to feel more like a looming prison than a protective space. It wasn't just a room anymore, but a monument to secrecy, holding onto something precious. Kylie wrestled with her emotions. Was keeping the promise a means to safeguard Uncle Fred's legacy? Or was it a cage entrapping a beautiful memory that deserved to be set free? Each secret whisper, every unspoken word, only added fuel to Kylie's burning need to uncover the truth. She began to sketch out plans, research potential ways to get inside without causing damage, and even pondered seeking outside help. Her nights were filled with dreams of the garage, and her days consumed by thoughts of what lay within its walls. Trust, as Kylie realized, was a double-edged sword. On one side, it protected secrets and cherished memories. On the other, it could shroud the truth in darkness. She understood the weight of the promise her mother and Uncle Jack bore. However, the desire to connect deeper with her late uncle, to truly know the man whose love and mystery enveloped the family, was too potent to ignore. With every passing day, the allure of the garage grew stronger. One afternoon, Kylie sat with Anna at their favorite cafe, pouring out her frustrations. Anna, a whiz with anything tech-related, leaned in, her eyes gleaming with intrigue. "You know, there might be a way to get inside without breaking anything," she whispered, sipping her latte. Kylie's eyes widened. Hope rekindled. Could Anna be the key? Anna's room resembled a futuristic workshop, filled with gadgets, wires, and screens. She spread out blueprints of typical garage lock systems on her desk, explaining the potential weak points. From tiny cameras to silent alarm disablers, Anna had a plethora of devices at her disposal. "We need to be smart, stealthy, and swift," she declared, pointing out their planned points of entry and exit on the blueprint. The duo decided that the perfect time to embark on their mission would be during a waning crescent moon, providing just enough light without risk of being too visible. They conducted mock drills in Anna's backyard, mimicking the movements they'd need to make. Every night, Kylie would gaze at the garage from her window, mentally preparing herself for the night they'd unravel its mystery. The evening arrived faster than either had anticipated. Both were dressed in dark, non-reflective clothing, communicating with earpieces Anna had modified for the mission. Kylie carried a small bag containing gloves, a flashlight with a dimming function, and other essentials. They both knew the potential consequences of their actions, but felt the pull of the unknown too strongly to resist. Standing at the edge of the driveway, the garage loomed before them, its door an imposing barrier to the secrets within. Anna initiated her devices, ensuring their path was clear. As they approached the entrance, the weight of their endeavor pressed on them, their heartbeats syncing with the soft hum of Anna's gadgets. With a deep breath, Kylie reached out, ready to face whatever lay beyond. The creak of the door sounded like an ancient tome being opened after centuries. As it swung inwards, the dim light revealed an astonishing world, a veritable Aladdin's cave of creativity. Shadows of artistry danced across walls as the soft glow of scattered lanterns illuminated a treasure trove of handiwork. Both Kylie and Anna stood at the threshold, their mouths agape, mesmerized by the spectacle before them. Moving deeper into the garage, tables laden with intricate toys stretched as far as the eye could see. Hand-carved wooden horses with jeweled saddles, delicate porcelain dolls dressed in silk, and wind-up tin soldiers marching in formation. Each piece was crafted with meticulous detail and care. The artistry displayed was unmatched, as if every toy had been infused with a touch of magic. ready to carry a child's dreams into reality. Amongst the multitude of wonders, a miniature train track, complete with detailed stations and tiny landscapes, snaked its way around the room. Kylie, drawn by its magnetic charm, approached, bending low to see inside the carriages. Within each, tiny figurines sat, reflecting the diversity of life. It wasn't just a toy, it was a narrative, capturing the essence of adventure and the joy of exploration. Hidden beneath a stack of carved wooden birds, Kylie stumbled upon a box filled with sealed envelopes. Each bore the address of children from various parts of the nation. Within them are heartfelt letters expressing wishes of wellness and speedy recoveries. There were no signatures, just anonymous blessings. A quiet realization dawned upon Kylie. The garage was more than just a workshop. It was a sanctuary of hope. As the pieces came together, it became clear. For every toy, there was a matching letter. These weren't just creations, they were gifts, tokens of kindness meant to bring joy during trying times. Uncle Fred's legacy wasn't merely about craftsmanship, but about the immense heart behind each creation. Overwhelmed, Kylie and Anna embraced, understanding that they had uncovered a tale not just of artistry, but of boundless generosity. Amidst the wonders of the garage, a worn leather-bound journal beckoned Kylie from a dusty shelf. It felt heavy in her hands, not from its weight, but from the stories it held within. The cursive handwriting unmistakably belonged to Uncle Fred. The diary was a testament to his innermost thoughts and feelings, a raw reflection that Kylie felt privileged to uncover. The earliest entries echoed with pain and uncertainty. After a devastating diagnosis, Uncle Fred had turned to the sanctuary of his garage, immersing himself in the world of toy-making. Each carved figure and painted face wasn't just an artistic endeavor. It was a therapeutic outlet. Through crafting, he channeled his fears and vulnerabilities, creating beauty from despair. Page by page, Kylie witnessed an evolution. The journal revealed how, over time, the act of creating became intertwined with the desire to gift. The toys, once made to distract him from his own pain, took on a new purpose. They were to be symbols of hope for those battling their own hardships, physical or otherwise. Each figure, each toy, was a heartfelt message of strength and resilience. As the dates in the journal progressed, it painted a vivid picture. Every silent night in the garage was, in reality, a symphony of love. With each toy he crafted, Uncle Fred silently declared his commitment to spreading hope. The nights, which from the outside seemed isolating, were filled with purpose, passion, and an unyielding drive to make a difference. One toy at a time. The final pages were filled with reflections and aspirations. Even as Uncle Fred's own health waned, his indomitable spirit shone through. He wrote of his dream, for his toys to be a beacon of joy, ensuring that in moments of darkness, there would always be a spark of happiness. With tear-filled eyes, Kylie realized that in the heart of the garage lay not just toys, but a legacy of hope that would endure. With the weight of Uncle Fred's diary in her hand, Kylie mustered the courage to face her family. As they gathered in the living room, the air grew thick with anticipation. Uncertainty filled her, but she began to recount the discoveries from the garage. Every revelation, every truth spilled forth as she sought understanding and closure. As Kylie shared the tales of the garage and read aloud from the journal, the room was awash with emotion. Uncle Jack wiped away a tear, remembering the countless nights he'd seen Fred sneaking into the garage. Kylie's mother clutched a handkerchief, grieving not just the loss of her brother, but the years of misunderstanding. Through the sadness, stories of Fred's quiet generosity began to paint a fuller picture. Amidst the shared sorrow, a collective realization dawned. Uncle Fred's clandestine acts of love deserved recognition. The family, each member processing the newfound revelations, began to contemplate the future. How can we ensure his legacy endures? Uncle Jack pondered aloud. Ideas began to flow, as they all brainstormed ways to immortalize Fred's spirit of giving. As the evening wore on, the initial shock and pain gave way to unity. Kylie, her mother, and Uncle Jack, once divided by the mysteries of the garage, now found themselves bound by a deeper understanding. Past grievances seemed trivial in the face of their shared love and admiration for Fred. Embracing, they took solace in the knowledge that together they could keep his legacy alive. Morning light streamed through the windows, ushering in a day filled with hope. The conversation shifted from the past to the future. There were murmurings of converting the garage into a community space, a place where creativity could flourish, and Uncle Fred's spirit could continue to inspire. Plans were drafted, and the family stood united, determined to turn the workshop into a beacon of hope and love for all. News of Uncle Fred's workshop and the treasures within spread like wildfire throughout the town. Inspired by the tales of his silent acts of kindness, residents young and old felt a pull to be part of this noble endeavor. Meetings were organized, volunteers enlisted, and soon the once lonely garage brimmed with eager hands and hearts, all united with a single purpose. Tools clinked, laughter echoed, and wood shavings floated in the air as the garage became a hive of activity. Under the guidance of seasoned artisans, novices learned the art of toy making. With every crafted piece, the mission became clearer: to bring joy to hospitalized children. Toys of all shapes and sizes, trains, dolls, puzzles, took form, each bearing the essence of love and hope. As the crafted toys began their journey to children's hospitals, stories started flowing back to the town. Tales of wide-eyed wonder, of children clutching their toys, their spirits uplifted. Each account served as a testament to the power of kindness and community. As these stories circulated, they reinforced the town's commitment, igniting a flame of generosity that showed no sign of diminishing. The transformation was undeniable. With every toy that left the workshop, a part of Uncle Fred journeyed with it. It wasn't just wood and paint, it was his legacy, his love. Newcomers to the workshop would sometimes ask about its origins, and the answer always spoke of Fred's silent acts of compassion. His spirit was palpable, enveloping every corner of the workshop and inspiring all who entered. What was once a humble garage, shrouded in mystery, had transformed into a realm of magic. Every inch told a story of hope, of dreams realized, and of love shared. Children often visited, their eyes filled with wonder, watching toys take shape. The workshop, now known as Fred's Wonderland, stood as a beacon, reminding everyone of the boundless beauty that stems from selfless love and community unity. The ambiance shifted to the sterile, silent corridors of St. Mary's Children's Hospital. Pastel-colored walls adorned with cheerful murals tried to dispel the inherent gloom. Nurses bustled about, tending to their young patients, each child battling their own invisible enemy. Room 214, unlike the others, remained hushed, its occupant lost in thoughts and the steady rhythm of machines. In the heart of room 214 lay Emma, a brave girl with sparkling blue eyes who often stared longingly at the world outside. As the door creaked open, a volunteer walked in, cradling a beautifully crafted wooden toy carousel. Handing it to Emma, she whispered of a workshop, a place where magic and love breathed life into wood. The moment Emma's fingers brushed the carousel, it sprang to life. Horses danced gracefully, their manes flowing as enchanting music filled the air. What started as a tentative smile soon erupted into pure, unbridled laughter. The somber mood of the room dissolved, replaced with joy and astonishment. Nurses and fellow patients peeked in, drawn by the infectious glee radiating from Emma. As days turned into weeks, the carousel became Emma's trusted companion. It wasn't just a toy, it was a beacon of hope, a testament to the undying spirit of Uncle Fred. Those who witnessed its magic often inquired about its origin. They were regaled with tales of a man whose love and kindness echoed beyond time, offering solace to souls like Emma. The story comes full circle in room 214. As Emma clutched her carousel, the narrative transcended beyond mere events. It became an ode to love's timeless nature, an emotion not bound by years or memories. From a secluded garage in a small town to the heart of a hospital room, love and kindness journeyed, proving that true legacies live not in things, but in the hearts they touch.